Another key step, and what many of the clients I've worked with have found to be actually potentially the most helpful step is what we call validation calls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Heath, talk to us about validation calls. Why are those? What are they? And why are they so beneficial to a potential franchisee?
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about the FDD, something that's in there that's not an item, is a list of every single franchisee that brand has in their system. It shows you where they are. It has their contact information. And then when you get to this point validation, this is what really, like Jared referenced, I think this is the turning point in the discovery process. This is where most people decide yes or no, I'm going with this franchise or not. And it's where you get all the franchisees. They might, you might have some suggestions on like, hey, if you want to be semi-absentee, here's some franchisees that started semi-absentee. So start with them, ask them the questions. But this is really where you get to ask any question you want to a current owner. You can ask them how much money they made last month, bottom line, and they can tell you. So any of those roadblocks or I'd say like restrictions and legal restrictions, like talking about earnings, any of those things that Jared or the franchisor has really had to avoid talking to you about or tiptoe around, this is where you get, full transparency from the owners. So you really get to ask them, hey, are you happy with the decision you made? Would you do it again? This is, you'll hear honest answers from franchisees. They will not sugarcoat anything. So this is really where I think you get a true idea of a day in the life, how much money you can make, those types of burning questions that are obviously some of the main motivation why you're looking at a business in the first place. Validation is a pivotal part of this process. And one thing I would really keep an eye out for too is if a brand is enthusiastic about validating, they're excited for you to talk to franchisees, that's a very good sign. And then if it's reverse, if they're kind of nervous about you talking to franchisees, then there should be some cause for concern. But
a little yellow flag there.
But one thing we look for from BAI's perspective, the brands we want to work with, how do you validate? That's one of the first questions we ask. If we got on the phone with 10 franchisees, what would we hear? And that's what we look for in the brands we bring on board. So that we want that process to be pleasant for franchisees. And we want you to go back to Jared and say, man, great conversations. I love what I heard. But like you said too, Jared, having some preparation going into it, having a few good questions to ask franchisees, having that guidance, that's really valuable too.
And that's where I'm going to come in helpful for you as well. So I'm going to provide some resources to you so you can know, oh, I didn't even think about this question. That's a good one to ask, or, to make sense, how to process what you're hearing from them as well, and I'm going to encourage you too, like on that, in that FDD, there will hopefully be past owners on there too, that you can call and say, hey, why are you no longer an owner? What's going on here? Did you retire? Did something go wrong? What happened? Talk to, if a franchisor is encouraging you, hey, only call these 3 or 5. Okay, call them for sure, but don't only call them. Call other owners. And there's going to be some, if they've been around for any length of time, there's probably going to be some disgruntled past franchisees. It's okay to talk to them. In fact, there's probably a lot to learn from there. That doesn't mean don't go with that brand. It just means ask questions, figure out the why behind what happened before you draw any conclusions about it. But validation calls are going to be one of the most crucial steps in the entire process for sure.
And one thing I'll add too, Jared, is, from a potential franchisee's point of view, you're really going to get out of validation what you put into it. So don't be afraid to really take your time and call as many franchisees as you like. I think it's good to get those different perspectives. And then if you hear something negative, you can talk to Jared, and Jared can talk to the franchise developer and say, hey, what's up with, my candidate hearing this on a call? And they hopefully they come back with a legitimate explanation for why that franchisee soured. But again, it's that transparency.
Yeah, and that's so good, because that's the beauty of having someone like me in your corner is I can be that guy to go to the franchisor for you. You don't feel comfortable going to them. You feel a little uneasy about it. I can go to them and ask them the tough questions. I'm okay being the bad guy. And I've done that for clients too. Even for clients that go, hey, I don't want to talk to them anymore. They're not the right brand for me. I can be that bad guy for you. I can go to them and say, hey, this isn't the right fit. We're going to try to find another franchise. I've done that multiple times. I can do it for you too. That's, again, the benefit of having a consultant like me in your corner.